At last, they came to a verdict at Liverpool Crown Court yesterday. Well, kind of. Guilty, and just about, it seems, after it took long enough, didn't it, for what seemed to be one of the most slam-dunk cases of a vicious assault on a police officer that you're ever likely to see in your life. And all, of course, caught in glorious colour on CCTV. What could have been the problem? And yes, we all know that the law is far more complicated than it seems, but can you even begin to imagine if this had been a Tommy Robinson supporter, or indeed a grieving mum called Lucy in the dock? You get the feeling that a decision would have been a lot quicker and far more conclusive, and without any need for a possible retrial. But to be fair, this of course must have been a very difficult trial to manage. How on earth, in modern day Northern England, do you come up with a completely neutral and fair-minded jury, 12 good men and women of your peers, when sectarianism is absolutely rife, and where a religious belief, no, a religious instruction, is never to go against one of your own? On the other hand, and I'm just asking the question here and trying to be as fair as I possibly can, would it be right? Would it be fair to put a Muslim man on trial in front of 12 Jews? Probably not. Would it be fair to put a Jewish man on trial in front of 12 Muslims? Definitely not. But that's where we are right now. God knows what it's going to be like in, say, 10 or 15 years' time. You see, Britain and the British judicial system has a major problem of its own making. Not only do we clearly have a two-tier police service and a two-tier judicial system in place, but we have the ever-growing and increasing issue of sectarianism in our society that will ultimately surely lead to the destruction of our courts if we're not very careful indeed. Now, I don't know the makeup of the jury at this trial, but it must have been a very difficult one to manage, and I strongly suspect that a majority was hard to come by because of the defendant's religion rather than any doubts about his guilt. That's just my opinion, and we're all entitled to one. But it does beg the very serious question, just how are we going to deal with sectarianism in courts in years to come? And the Tories have accused Labour ministers of failing to support the police over the Manchester airport incident. No shit, Sherlock. These are the very same people who have just activated an online Harm Safety Act that is already, within a couple of days, being used to shut down adults and gag free speech. This is the same party and the same people that voted against a child grooming gang inquiry, but go on to pretend that they care about the safety of our kids. This is the same people and the same party who want to give the vote to children, whilst removing information online that could influence the way in which they vote. You couldn't make this up, but Labour has. And the police must be breathing a huge sigh of relief after that verdict yesterday, but that sigh is a little bit shallow, if you don't mind me saying, because it's they themselves who have been spending a lot of time appeasing these people, and they appear to have gone whose bloody side they're supposed to be on. Whilst the public stood firmly by the police seem to have gotten how to stand with the public. Now, lastly, I just want to touch briefly on Gaza and Keir Starmer's ridiculous statement that unless things change, then he may be forced into recognising a Palestinian state. You have to be a special kind of idiot not to realise that this is exactly what the terrorists of Hamas want, and it plays right into their hands. Starmer surely knows this and is therefore just appeasing a certain community who, without their votes, he has no chance of winning the next general election. More sectarianism. And of course, we all know that Starmer's statement will do absolutely nothing to help towards the release of the sausages, or to help aid get through to those who allegedly need it in Gaza. Maybe if the terrorist scumbags of Hamas gave the goddamn food that they control to their own people, then they wouldn't be so bloody hungry in the first place.